The grim task goes on. Firefighters continue to search for victims of Oakland's warehouse fire in which 36 people have died.
I remember going up that staircase specifically too and not feeling safe at all.
Tonight, only the I-Team's Dan Noyes talks to a woman who knows not only the building that burned, but also the landlord who let people live there.
And 7 on your side's Michael Finney investigates one of the possible causes of this deadly fire, which can be found across the Bay Area.
And I'm Dan Ashley, live at 31st Avenue and International Boulevard, where the work continues to find victims and those responsible.
Now from ABC7 News, tragedy in Oakland.
More than 24 families are going to start an entirely new life. For them, this is day one.
The faces of such incredible loss and new questions about what went on inside this warehouse.
We'll leave no stone unturned.
Tonight, ABC7 News is searching for answers as this complex story continues to unravel. But first, where you live.
It just doesn't make any sense, man. It doesn't.
A community begins to heal tonight by saying goodbye.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Amma Dates.
I'm Eric Thomas. Dan Ashley is live in Oakland tonight at the scene of this tragic fire. Dan?
Well, Eric, Amma, this is a scene that is very much still developing and changing with every hour. Victims are still being identified. Families are still learning whether their loved ones are alive or dead. And the reason for all of this, the cause of the fire remains largely an unanswered question at this point. The number killed in this tragedy is at 36, although that number may still inch up. We learned today that it is a possible criminal investigation which could result in murder charges if the evidence warrants it. This is now very much being handled as a crime scene. Now, we are standing near the warehouse known as the Ghost Ship that caught fire just before midnight on Friday night. We're in Oakland's Fruitvale neighborhood, and several blocks of International Boulevard in and around this area are closed around 31st Avenue because of the fire. We have complete live team coverage for you. Let's go to ABC7 News reporter Laura Anthony with the latest information on the investigation and, Laura, the search for victims.
That's right, Dan. That is ongoing. That search, officials now say of the 36 victims found so far, 33 of those have been identified and 22 families have been notified. And while the sheriff said there could be more victims still inside the building, at this point he does not expect that will be a large number.
The range of charges could be murder, all the way to involuntary manslaughter.
As crews continue the grim work of sifting through rubble for human remains, Alameda County District Attorney Nancy O'Malley announced possible criminal charges in a fire that has so far claimed 36 lives.
We're looking at two things. One is whether or not there is any criminal liability attached to this fire, and secondly, if there is criminal liability, against whom?
The investigation will include individuals like the building owner and founder of the art collective, as well as entities, up to and including the city of Oakland, charged with enforcing the building and safety codes that many claim were violated before the fire.
I assure you that there is information we will be providing, but we are just on a day-by-day basis responding to the changing nature of this very complex and devastating event.
After an overnight delay, the difficult work of searching for bodies resumed, a painstaking job that requires crews to sift through the rubble largely by hand, literally one bucket at a time. It's a process shown in this photo released by the Alameda County Sheriff's Department.
Bucket by bucket and equipment by equipment, later remove those buckets and those meticulously removed items.
They also include the teenage son of an Alameda County Sheriff's deputy.
It's extremely tragic. To imagine the loss of your 17-year-old son is horrifying, and it really touches home with all of our people that have worked alongside with our deputy for the past 10 years.
Now, we should say at the last press conference, Sheriff Ahern there talked about a number of unaccounted for people. He put that number at just under 50. We should clarify, and he clarified that at this point, based on their investigation and the way those tips came in, there's no reason at this point to think that many or any of those individuals of that 50 were actually inside this building on Friday night. Dan?
All right, thanks very much, Laura. Anthony reporting here with me at 31st and International Boulevard. And to see this scene behind me and to think how many people were trapped inside as flames raced through this building with very little way out, you can only imagine how terrifying it was and how quickly it happened. We know that 36 people died because of this fire. 33 have been identified. Authorities have been able to reach 16 families and notify them of the loss of their loved ones, a devastating time for them, of course. Now, the youngest victim identified so far is 17-year-old Draven McGill. He attended Ruth Agawa School of the Arts in San Francisco and was in the 11th grade. ABC7 News reporter Leanne Melendez spoke with his closest friends, including one who was with him that night and managed to escape the flames. Leanne joins us now live from a vigil in San Francisco. What a story he must be telling, Leanne.
And very upset, of course, Dan. Now, I've heard people say since this tragedy that what happens in Oakland or other parts of the Bay Area affects us all. That's why we have, as you see, this vigil happening here in the Castro, because someone here knew someone who was in that fire and so on, including, of course, that 17-year-old, that young life, Draven McGill.
A campus known for having students who are lively and musical was today understandably subdued. 17-year-old Draven McGill was a member of the vocal ensemble at the Ruth Agawa School of the Arts in San Francisco.
I knew he was going to a rave, I just didn't know where it was, and I didn't know that one was the one.
But Phelan Westhead, also a student here, knew. He and McGill were inside that Oakland warehouse last Friday night. Westhead said there was total darkness, but somehow he followed voices and made his way out of the building.
Right now I'm still almost in shock still. I'm just still trying to process what happened. I feel like I haven't fully accepted it really. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, glad to be with these guys. We're all dealing with it together, I think.
Most students had heard over the weekend about McGill's death, but it was here where they found the needed support.
We got together as a class and talked about how we're going to be using art to come together and to help kids cope with this event through art.
Students here also began thinking of ways to honor his memory.
Yesterday, Sunday, I was able to go with some friends to Oakland, to where it happened. We left some candles, we wrote some messages, and I think that helped a lot.
He was like the glue that kind of held us together for the most part. He was really just, he didn't want to hear us argue, he didn't want to hear us bicker and be unhappy.
Extra counselors were called in.
We have wellness staff that are here every day, but we want to make sure that we call in additional support for crisis response.
Westhead says he was fortunate to have known McGill.
He really was such a spur of the moment. If there's anybody who I wanted to have an adventure with, it was definitely him.
So far, the 17-year-old is the youngest confirmed victim to have died in that fire. In San Francisco, Leanne Melendez, ABC7 News.
So many powerful stories like this we are beginning to hear 3 days after this tragedy. There is a vigil scheduled for 8 p.m. tonight at Lake Merritt in Oakland. ABC7 News reporter Katie Udis is there live with a preview of tonight's event. Katie?
Dan, sound crews, friends of the victims are already setting up here at Lake Merritt. But first, let me show you a map. There is another event that takes place before the candlelight vigil. There's a community prayer at 6 o'clock. That's at the Cathedral of Christ the Light at 2121 Harrison Street. It is open for a silent prayer. All are welcome to attend. Then people are walking over to Lake Merritt, to the pergola along El Embarcadero. And that's where organizers are asking people to bring flameless candles, glow sticks, and flashlights. This event has been organized on Facebook, and so far 4,500 people say they plan to attend. Now, I can tell you, it is cold. You should wear warm clothes. The candlelight vigil is supposed to start at 8 o'clock here at Lake Merritt. When we come back out here live, I can tell you that it's very busy in the Lake Merritt area, and parking is also difficult. So if you can, take public transportation. Live in Oakland, Katie Udis, ABC7 News.
All right, Katie, thank you very much. Wherever you are, you can show your support by sharing this badge on Facebook. You'll find it on our page, facebook.com/ABC7 News. A lot of people near and far trying so very hard to connect in some way with this loss and this tragedy and feel that they are doing something to honor the victims and to be supportive as best they can. I'll have a lot more from the scene here as the hour continues, but for the moment, let's go back to the studio and Amma and Eric.
All right, thank you so much, Dan. And the man who leased the building and subleased to many other people hasn't directly addressed the dangers in the ghost ship warehouse, but we are learning more from people close to him.
ABC7 News I-Team reporter Dan Noyes has 2 exclusive interviews that shed new light on this tragedy. Dan?
Well, Eric and Amma, bottom line, those interviews and a record search confirmed the city of Oakland knew about possible dangers in that building, but failed to take sufficient action to clean it up. Mariah Benavides was just 16 years old when she worked as a nanny for Derek Ian Almina and his wife. She tells me the couple would leave their 3 kids with her for days while they organized raves for profit at other locations around the Bay Area.
They would kind of go off and do their own thing and be gone for like 3 to 5 days sometimes, you know, leaving us at the house with food and kind of just being like, all right, have fun.
Mariah tells me after the couple started renting the ghost ship warehouse, she visited 2 years ago, and that the interior looked even more cluttered than these pictures posted on Almina's website.
What you see now, it almost looks more like organized chaos. Before that, it was kind of just everywhere. It almost was like post-apocalyptic in a way.
The couple began holding raves in that crowded space. I found many flyers online. As in this video from this past June, the DJ would often set up on the 2nd floor, reached only by this rickety staircase made out of scrap wood.
I remember going up that staircase specifically too and not feeling safe at all.
Really?
Yeah, no.
You couldn't have more than 2 people on that staircase before it would just fall down.
Neighbors complained about the regular parties and the mess that flowed onto the sidewalk. In fact, the I-Team confirmed today that at least 6 complaints came into the Oakland Planning and Building Department about habitability and blight. One neighbor is too distraught about the deaths to show his face.
This situation is a broken heart for everybody. And I really don't want the same issue to be happening again in the future.
He owns a building close to the ghost ship and told me he complained repeatedly about the parties and the dangerous conditions there, and that on at least 2 occasions, city inspectors came but failed to follow through.
The inspector told me he was not able to get inside the property because he don't, he is not permitted, you know.
And they wouldn't let him in.
Exactly.
In an interview with the I-Team, the interim director of the Oakland Planning and Building Department would not address his inspectors being turned away and said there's a lot of work to do to find out what happened.
I don't have a time frame right now. You know, it's not just the planning and building records. We're also coordinating with the fire department and the police department, and so it's important for us to build a whole story of what happened at that property.
Firefighters say many people died when they couldn't make it down that narrow, rickety staircase in time. The daughter of the building owner told the LA Times they didn't know people were living there. It was zoned strictly as a warehouse. Some of the artists confirmed Derek Ian Almeida would clean up the place anytime the owner planned to visit to hide what he had going on. Eric, Amma.
Dan, thanks a lot. Well, the warehouse that burned housed an artist collective, which is pretty common here in the Bay Area, and now other artists are worried. Next, hear why it's not just the risk of fire that has them concerned.
And at 6:30, we'll see how some of the neighbors are doing in the Fruitvale district.
And a live look from our Emeryville camera outside right now. Got some chilly, wet weather on the way. Meteorologist Drew Tuma will show us when the next rain arrives. Next.
Today at the state capitol, lawmakers rose for a moment of silence. Both houses, California Senate and Assembly, each paused to honor the victims of the Oakland warehouse fire.
Let's go now back live to Dan Ashley in Oakland tonight at the heart of this tragedy. Dan?
Eric, that deadly warehouse fire behind me here at 31st and International Boulevard has many people calling for closer scrutiny of Oakland's warehouses. There are said to be at least 200 throughout the city. As ABC7 News reporter Carolyn Tyler found, that has some artists worried about a crackdown.
Oakland artists are already grappling with being priced out. For example, these market-rate condos are being built right in the middle of West Oakland's arts community. Now some, like photographer Steros, have another fear following the warehouse fire.
I'm scared. I'm scared because they're
could be a crackdown.
He thinks many places artists can afford could be subject to code violations. His own building seems in good shape. Once a warehouse for boat manufacturers, there are 26 live-work units. Nearby, Chuck DeGuida runs the Jingletown Art Studios, a workspace for artists. He believes most enclaves like his are following safety rules.
All of the space owners, landlords, property managers that I know all do a really good job.
Cynthia Elliott tells us that's the case at the Ford Street Studios where she lives. This sprawling complex used to be a foundry, but is now live-work lofts for dozens of artists. Elliott is wondering if there'll be a backlash following the warehouse fire.
That there's going to be some knee-jerk reactions of we need to close all of these down.
But this weekend, Mayor Libby Schaaf reiterated her support. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf plans to unveil a plan tomorrow to try to help keep artists here in Oakland.
I have been passionate about preserving and lifting up the incredible creative community.
In Oakland, Carolyn Tyler, ABC7 News.
Now, to this moment, we know 36 people died in the fire. 3 of them are UC Berkeley students. ABC7 News reporter Jonathan Bloom went to Cal's campus to get more information and perspective.
In a quiet basement on the UC Berkeley campus, the studios of CalX are at the center of a community deeply affected by the deadly fire in Oakland. 3 of those missing after the fire were volunteers here, including Chelsea Faith Dolan, better known as the DJ Sharushi, who had a weekly radio show here on Thursdays. She was scheduled to perform at the party where the fire broke out and hasn't posted online since then. Also missing is Griffin Madden, a UC student who the Daily Californian says was another CalX volunteer and worked across the way at Cal Performances. He was at the party with a friend, David Klein. Klein did not make it out alive, according to a letter from his brother, who says he'd recently graduated from UC Berkeley with a double major in cognitive and computer sciences. 2 other members of the UC Berkeley community, Donna Kellogg and Nick Gomez Hall, are also now known to be among those killed in the fire. And there are more students missing. The Daily Californian tells us Jenny Morris and Vanessa Plotkin are roommates in Cal's Unit 2 residence halls, and both remain unaccounted for. The university is not commenting on the search for those who are missing, referring all inquiries to the local authorities. The chancellor did write a letter to students offering condolences and counseling. At UC Berkeley, Jonathan Bloom, ABC7 News.
This is such a moving scene down here, as you can imagine. A lot of people who live and work in this area, and even others from far away, have come to pay their respects. And I spent some time today talking with people who just had to be here, had to see it for themselves, including this woman, Karen Benjamin, who came with her young daughter.
Karen, why are you here today?
Well, I heard about the tragedy on the news since Saturday, so I've been following it and reading about it. So me and my daughter decided to come to get a first-hand look at everything.
You just felt compelled to come see this firsthand?
Yes, I felt compelled and sorry and compassionate for the families and, loss of their loved ones.
Well, and, you're a parent, obviously. I'm a parent, and we see young people, that's what was happening Friday night, young people just having fun, listening to music and having a good time, and this happens. We can relate.
Yes, because if my daughter was in that situation, and I'll be, worried sick too, so I understand how they feel as a parent.
A lot of people can relate to the kind of anguish so many parents are going through with these tragic losses here. And because of the number of people here and the places around the country and even the world that they came from, the media presence here is enormous covering this story. And I'll give you a little behind-the-scenes look at the kind of coverage this tragic story is getting a little later on. But for now, Alma and Eric, let's go back to you.
All right, Dan, thank you.
This tragedy is affecting a lot of people, and if you need help, here are some options. You can call 1-800-985-5990. That's a 24-hour disaster distress helpline that can provide immediate crisis counseling. JFK University is also providing in-person counselors, and we have a full list of these resources and others on our website. Go to abc7news.com and search the word help.
Now your AccuWeather forecast with Drew Tuma.
And tonight we're tracking even cooler air arriving on your Tuesday, and then rain will return midweek this week and could last several days. Live Doppler 7 along with satellite showing you that we are dry, but for much of the day upstairs we have just had a blanket of cloud cover, and that will remain as we head into your Tuesday. Hour by hour we go on your Tuesday planner. There is a chance as a weak front moves through in the pre-dawn hours, could have an isolated sprinkle early on. It will not be anything widespread. The big story tomorrow, a lot of cloud cover, limited sunshine, and a cool afternoon. Temperatures very similar to where they were today, only topping out in the mid to low 50s. Even cooler air sets in Wednesday morning. We do expect widespread frost, especially in our interior sheltered valley. So near freezing temperatures in those areas of frost. So a good idea, protect the pets and the plants, very sensitive to the cold this time of the year. Future weather picks it up Wednesday afternoon. We see the return of some light rain. It's a 1, a light storm on the storm impact scale. After the sun sets and into the evening hours we go, the rain does look to become widespread, and those light to moderate showers do continue into Thursday as well. Future weather showing you it will be a wet commute Thursday morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. The rain does continue. And into Thursday we go, the storm will actually intensify. So on the storm impact scale, it gets upgraded to a 2, a moderate storm, and that could mean downpours do develop Thursday evening. So take note of that. It will be a wet end to the work week. AccuWeather 7-day forecast going to show you we are tracking just a few AM sprinkles. The big story, limited sunshine and cool temperatures. Cold to start Wednesday. The rain arrives in the evening. It's widespread rain on Thursday as the storm intensifies. It's a 2 on the storm impact scale. Rain to showers on Friday, and then another chance coming in Sunday and into Monday.
All right. Thank you so much, Drew.
Coming up, seconds count when a fire breaks out. Hear how smoke, heat, and flames can make it almost impossible for people to escape from burning buildings.
Escaping a burning building quickly can mean the difference between survival and tragedy. The Ghost Ship fire can provide us all with some lessons on being safe wherever we may be. The Ghost Ship has been described as a maze of living spaces and artist studios filled with materials like wood, carpet, and paint. Many items like that can produce thick, toxic smoke.
Smoke got to them and they lost their sense of where they were, and they end up making a wrong turn in houses that they've lived in for a long time.
Firefighters say it's important to locate where exits are when you first arrive somewhere. That way you won't waste precious seconds looking for them during a fire or other emergency.
A live team coverage of the tragedy in Oakland will continue at 6:30. 7 on your side's Michael Finney explores one possible cause of the fire: stolen electricity. Hear from a woman who used to live in the warehouse that burned down about what she saw that could have caused the fire.
The need to cut off the power is because the crane has to come in.
Next, an update on the investigative step that knocked out power for hours.
I'm Dan Ashley, live once again to the scene of the Ghost Ship warehouse tragedy. Coming up, we'll get you caught up in the next half hour with all of the latest developments as this story continues to evolve here at 31st and International Boulevard. Stay with us for more.
The ABC7 News app. Live updates wherever you are. Breaking news where you live. Now from ABC7 News, tragedy in Oakland.
And ABC7 News anchor Dan Ashley joins us again live from the fire scene with the latest information. Dan.
Amma, thanks. Right now, investigators are trying to locate the source of the fire. They believe it started somewhere in the back of the warehouse. So far, as we've said, 36 bodies have been recovered from the wreckage. There may be more. 33 have been identified. 3 of the victims are from foreign countries: Finland, Korea, and Guatemala. Searchers have gone through about 75% of the building. They stopped the body recovery effort about midnight when they determined the front had the potential to collapse. Work in that area is expected to resume sometime tonight. Now, when it does, they will be very careful, removing debris literally bucket by bucket. Again, this is now being treated as a crime scene for evidence purposes. The building is now considered, as I said, a crime scene. They have to be extremely careful. The DA says this afternoon, if her office pursues charges, they could range from involuntary manslaughter to murder. Prosecutors have interviewed several people. Oakland police warned residents and businesses on the perimeter of this recovery effort that they could lose power today. ABC7 News reporter Melanie Woodrow explains why.
as crews work to carefully recover victims' bodies and preserve critical evidence. Officials said it would be necessary to turn power off to nearby homes and businesses. Those officials said the power outage could begin as early as noon and was expected to last up to 12 hours.
And the reason why is they have a very large crane that needs to come into the area to continue the work that needs to be done.
Oakland Police spokesperson Jonna Watson said as many as 50 to 500 customers could be impacted.
It's absolutely imperative we take care of our community during this power outage.
Neighborhood service coordinators were expected to go door to door. Aleda Salcedo says someone came to speak with her at this bakery.
We kind of worry, but if it has to be like that, we're just gonna understand that.
Salcedo said employees were more concerned about the potential for missed orders than spoiled milk.
We are gonna have to close early.
The director at Fruitvale Healthcare Center said no one had been by, but that they are always prepared with backup generators. Crews cutting power where needed to do the difficult work necessary to recover loved ones and investigate what led to their deaths. In Oakland, Melanie Woodrow, ABC7 News.
And this scene beginning to turn from a recovery effort, although there's still about 25% of the building to search, into a full-scale investigation into how and why this happened. Interest in this story because of the number of people involved, the number of people who died, and from whence they came, several from other countries, has brought media in from all around the country. And a little earlier today, I just took a little walk around on video just to show you a little bit behind the scenes of how this story is being covered.
You can see there beyond the tents the burned out shell of what has been called the ghost ship warehouse where this tragedy took place. Needless to say, because of the number of people involved and because of the number of countries these victims have come from, the media interest is enormous. You're standing now in the middle, really, of the media village. They're conducting a live briefing right now. One of our reporters is covering that. Laura Anthony is paying very close attention to what is being said. But you can see the dozens and dozens of cameras covering this event. And if you look this direction, you can see all of the satellite trucks and microwave trucks. Media has come in on this scene from around the country and around the world for understandable reasons.
Really staggering media presence here, so much interest in this story, and of course that creates a great deal of scrutiny to make sure that this sort of situation doesn't happen again. We can show you a live picture now. Look at this. This is live on the roof of the building. A crane was brought in a little while ago. I was standing here, and they are lowering firefighters, probably structural engineers or building inspectors in. The big concern is to make sure the rest of the building is safe to continue the search and the recovery effort. As you look live, they are working late into the night tonight and will continue to do that. They're trying to beat the rain that is coming and get as much work done before that happens. A lot more to come here from 31st and International Boulevard, but for the moment, and Eric, back to you.
All right, Dan, thank you very much. Now, family and friends of some of the fire victims whose names have been made public by the city of Oakland have been telling ABC7 News about the vibrant lives they led. They include two who work with young people in the community. 35-year-old Travis Huff worked with inner city youth, and 30-year-old Sarah Hoda from Walnut Creek taught at the Urban Montessori Charter School near Mills College in East Oakland.
Two were accomplished musicians. 22-year-old Cash Askew was part of a musical duo named Them Are Us Too. Brandon Chase Wittenauer has been described by friends on Facebook as a talented musician. Many who died also held deep ties to the UC Berkeley community. 24-year-old David Klein was a graduate of Cal, and so is 26-year-old Nick Gomez Hall, who recently began work at a printing company in West Berkeley.
35-year-old Donna Kellogg was also a UC Berkeley graduate, a Chico native. And tonight, the youngest victim of the tragedy so far is 17-year-old Draven McGill, a student at the Ruth Asawa School of the Arts in San Francisco.
Now we tracked down Derek Ion Almina, the man who ran the artist collective at the warehouse. Oakland city officials say Almina didn't have the special permit needed for Friday's party. He also was criticized online for this Facebook post after the fire in which he didn't mention any victims. Almina has since deleted his Facebook profile, but he talked to us briefly last night in Oakland.
People have been wondering if you have anything to say to them.
They're my children. They're my friends, they're my family, they're my loves, they're my future. What else do I have to say?
Since he didn't have a permit, fire officials say criminal charges are a possibility, even if the cause of the fire was accidental.
We're hearing the cause of the fire at the Ghost Ship warehouse may be electrical. And some residents allege they were getting electricity stolen from PG&E.
7 on your side's Michael Finney has been looking into the danger of these illegal hookups and has this warning, Michael.
Yeah, both emergency responders and licensed electricians tell us anyone who steals electricity is risking shock, injury, even death. Shelley Mack lived at the Ghost Ship warehouse for 5 months starting in October 2014. She called it a hellhole, a death trap. Mack remembers the electricity constantly going out.
You turned on a heater and your electricity, everybody's electricity would go off. So it was continually overloaded.
She says everyone who lived at Ghost Ship knew where the electricity was coming from.
They all knew that it was a legal hookup. It's an illegal hookup that's been illegal. We don't get bills for it.
If that's true, experts say this was an accident waiting to happen. An electrical union representative told us an unlicensed electrician would not have the knowledge needed to control the flow of electricity. A San Francisco Fire Department spokesperson told 7 on your side it's easy to overload an electrical system under such circumstances. Splicing into an electrical system compromises safety. A Hercules resident who said he lost 8 friends in the fire is upset this could have been prevented.
Something stupid and careless for this to happen is just beyond me, man, because I mean, this could have happened a long time ago, but it didn't.
The man who only gave his name as Osby says other parties face a similar risk.
Been in this scene for 20 years, 20 plus years, I mean, and yeah, we partied in the unsafest warehouses ever, and we got away with so much crap.
The San Francisco Fire Department told us it doesn't get a lot of incidents involving illegal electrical hookups, but also says it wouldn't likely know about them unless someone reported them.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you. And our coverage of the tragic Oakland fire continues on ABC7News.com, and we'll continue to send alerts through the ABC7 News app when new information is released.
Next on ABC7 News at 6, how the community of Oakland is opening its doors to support the first responders who are working nonstop. ABC7 News was at Oakland City Hall today, where flags are flying at half-staff in honor of the victims of Friday's fire. All flags are at half-staff at Alameda County facilities as well.
ABC7 News anchor Dan Ashley is live in Oakland tonight. And Dan, this is tough not only for the families and friends of the victims, but also the first responders who've been working there around the clock.
Absolutely, Eric and Amma. It's grueling work, it's grim work, and it's sad work in a lot of ways. Of course, it is what they are trained to do, and they're responding brilliantly, but it's not easy. Businesses and community organizations here in the Fruitvale district are doing what they can to help out during this tragedy. Many groups have walked up to the first responders and offered to help, including this group, which is offering grief counseling. Others, like the Spanish-speaking Citizens Foundation, is opening its doors to first responders and news crews working long hours at this fire site.
Anyone who needs coffee, a break, bathroom, I mean, we're very close. It's an opportunity for us to say we're here, and this is what community is.
The Spanish-speaking Citizens Foundation wants to make sure the tragedy does not get repeated. That's what a lot of people here want. It is working on a flyer to inform the residents in the area about the fire danger of illegal electrical hookups, which Michael Finney just talked about just moments ago. So many unanswered questions, so much work now on the agenda as a result of this tragedy. It is in so many respects a huge eye-opener for this community, this city, and for the entire Bay Area. More to come here at 31st Avenue and International Boulevard, but Eric and Amma, back to you.
All right, Dan, you're so right. Thank you very much.
All right, well, meteorologist Drew Tuma will be back with the forecast in just 5 minutes to show how temperatures will drop over the next few days before the rain arrives.
More than $600,000 has been donated for fire relief. The Oakland A's, the Raiders, and the Warriors are matching up to $50,000 each, and you can find links to donate on ABC7News.com.
And let's go back to Dan Ashley, who is at the scene of that tragic fire. Dan.
Eric, thanks very much. Let me recap the new information that we have learned here tonight. 36 bodies have now been pulled from the warehouse. Searchers cannot detect any more inside. They had to put the body recovery effort on hold after a structural issue was discovered last night. Now, the recovery is expected to resume this evening. Crews are carefully removing the debris to preserve it as evidence. The DA says it is too early to speculate if someone will be charged, but says if it does happen, the charges will range from involuntary manslaughter to murder. The next official briefing is set for tomorrow morning. Now, from this scene of so much sadness and death, a few thoughts about what really matters. To see this scene on television is shocking, but I can tell you to see it in person is surreal. The so-called ghost ship warehouse, so tragically and prophetically named, became a tomb for at least 36 people, quite likely more. Friday night, as the flames devoured this building before dozens could escape, there was this sense of horror as the scope of what was happening began to register. Then, of course, the overwhelming grief that moved across this neighborhood and this city and this community of the Bay Area over the weekend. And now, amid those emotions, another being felt by this community. Anger. Anger over how this was allowed to happen. The building was permitted as a warehouse, nothing more. It was not supposed to be used as a residential building or as an event space, we're told by authorities. No one should have been allowed to live there or to party there. But that is not the responsibility of the innocent victims in this tragedy. That burden lays at the feet of the people who owned and operated this place and with the authorities who failed to take appropriate action to prevent the misuse of the building. The young people who perished here Friday night and those lucky enough to escape were just doing what young people do, enjoying a night of music and fun with friends. How many of us at that age would notice the lack of exits or the potential for such instant tragedy? The Ghost Ship Warehouse is a solemn place tonight, and it is also a crime scene. What really matters is that we honor the lives of those who died by taking action to make sure the dangerous conditions inside this building Friday night are not allowed to happen anywhere else, not in this city or any other around the Bay Area. I would be very grateful to hear your thoughts about this tragedy. Please connect with me on Facebook and Twitter at Dan Ashley, ABC7. We'll wrap it up here with one final word in a few moments, but for the moment, Amma and Eric, back to you in the studio.
All right, Dan, thank you very much.
All right, well, let's get one last check on our weather with Drew.
Yeah, and we are tracking at least a cool day on the way tomorrow before rain makes a comeback on Wednesday. Highs on your Tuesday, take a look. It's a lot of cloud cover out there. Temperatures only in the 50s, 54 for San Francisco, 56 Oakland, the same in San Jose, and about 54 for Napa. Future weather picks it up on Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon, light rain arrives first in the North Bay and then becomes widespread in the evening hours. It's a light storm on the storm impact scale, but we do anticipate light to moderate rain continuing into Thursday, and Thursday itself. Throughout the day, this storm will actually intensify. So we raise the rating to a 2, a moderate storm on Thursday. And you can see the heavier downpours, those dark shadings of green you see through the heart of the Bay Area means heavier rain will arrive on Thursday. Total rainfall potentially at least through Friday morning. You can see through the heart of the Bay Area 1 to 2 inches, a little less in the South Bay and a little bit more in the North Bay. Here's the AccuWeather 7-day forecast. It's a mainly dry day tomorrow, perhaps a few AM sprinkles, not a big issue. The rain arrives really on Wednesday night, continuing for Thursday and into Friday morning. Another chance Sunday and into Monday.
All right. Thank you, Drew.
Sure.
Mike Schumann is here with sports.
All right, guys, we'll take a look back with the 49ers and the Raiders and the Giants, who have a new closer that, should help out those late inning issues from last year. Introductions coming up in sports.
Now, ABC7 Sports with Mike Schumann.
Well, the Giants blew 32 saves last season, none more brutal than the ninth inning meltdown against the Cubs that ended San Francisco's playoff run. Today, the Giants signed closer Mark Melancon, who they tried to trade for in the regular season. He has 10 blown saves in 3 seasons. The Giants had 9 in September. Giants GM Bobby Evans said their top priority was adding a premier closer, and Melancon fits that bill. He had 47 saves last year for the Pirates and Nationals and has the most saves of any major leaguer since he became a closer full-time in mid-2013. Giants say it's a 4-year deal, and ESPN reports it's close to $62 million. The 31-year-old is a 3-time All-Star and hopefully continues that with the Giants. All right, the Warriors host the Pacers tonight before starting a rough 5-game road trip with 4 of those games in 5 nights and 2 back-to-backs. But in today's shoot-around, Steph Curry wanted to talk curling. Steph and Ian Clark have a pregame ritual of trying to play other sports with the basketball. We see them curling Saturday night. The Canadian Curling Club has offered Steph a lesson. He knows a little about the sport, but he needs to work on his terminology.
Is it the rock? Was it the releasing the rock? See, I got releasing the rock online and then get my broom out there and what do they call that? It's not called a broom, is it? It is? I didn't get my vocab right.
He's got the rest of the season. All right, Derek Carr is the first quarterback in NFL history to have 5 game-winning touchdowns in the fourth quarter or overtime in one season. When trailing in the second half or OT this year, he now has 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And Derek did it again yesterday, finding Amari Cooper in the fourth quarter to put the Raiders up for good after they trailed 24-9 to the Bills. This kid has ice in his veins, and this is why he is an MVP candidate this season, leading the Raiders to a 10-2 record. But the biggest game of the year is Thursday for first place against the AFC rival Chiefs, who have already beaten the Raiders at home.
You know, competition brings the best out of everybody, and it's been like that all year. We've all been right there with each other, and we've all been pushing each other. So it's fun, man. It's all competition, and that's what makes this game so fun is when it's like that. I think obviously we have the best division in football, and so you see, when we all get together and play each other, you see, no matter who's playing who, it's always a good game.
All right, Sunday in Buffalo in the snow, the Niners had just 6 net passing yards, second lowest total in franchise history. Colin Kaepernick had 1 completed pass for 4 yards in 3 quarters. Chip Kelly left the team yesterday to be with his family after passing of his father, Paul, and said no decision on next week's starter until later. But he did explain why he benched Kaepernick after the third quarter.
I thought we needed a spark on offense and needed to get something going. So, give Blaine a shot at trying to. Knew we were going to be throwing it every down. So both teams played in the same weather. So I don't look at that as a excuse, in terms of we had the same weather that they had. So both teams had to deal with it, and they dealt with it better.
Well, we'll have your Warrior Pacers highlights, Colts and Jets for Monday Night Football tonight at 9 and 11. Hope to see you then. And I guess when you're playing that well as the Warriors, you can think about curling in your off time. So there you go.
All right. I got to work on the vocab with you, Steph. It's all right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, join us tonight at 9 o'clock on Coffee TV 20, Cable 13, and at 11 here on ABC7.
Yeah, tonight we are gathering the newest information in the tragedy in Oakland. Our ABC7 News crews are working multiple angles to the story. Live team coverage on the vigils, the investigation, and what happens next at 9 and 11.
And that's it for this edition of ABC7 News. Look for breaking news on Twitter at ABC7 News Bay Area. I'm Eric Thomas.
And I'm Amma Dates.
And I'm Dan Ashley reporting live from Oakland at the scene of this weekend's devastating warehouse fire. In just a little while now, thousands of people are expected to gather just a few miles from here at Lake Merritt for an 8 p.m. vigil for the 36 victims of this fire. It will be an opportunity to grieve together as a community, and we will cover that, of course. But for now, good night from the Ghost Ship Warehouse.